All right, y'all, I'm so excited because I get to hang out with my good friend, Chris Hogan, who happens to be a best-selling author, host of The Chris Hogan Show. You do a lot of stuff, but I get to sit next to you all the time, so thanks for being here.
Well, I'm just as busy as you.
I know.
You're moving around, buzzing. Christy, we got people to help.
I know, but this is so fun because, Hogan, you've been on the Business Boutique podcast. You and I have hosted the Dave Ramsey Show together, which, by the way, I love hosting the show with you because we have fun and we're also just a little bit of smart aleck in us, a little feisty when we get together. But this is going to be fun because your specialty is money. You have a book on retirement, Retire Inspired. You have a book on everyday millionaires, helping people build wealth. Yeah. So you have been in this space for a very long time, decades. You've been helping people at all stages of this. And I thought it would be good as we're kicking off a new year.
Yes.
To talk about this area of our life that affects so many other areas.
Yes,
it is such a pain point.
Yep.
People have been struggling for a long time with their money habits, but last year really brought it to a new level. So I just want to start by asking you, why is this topic of money so hard? Why is it so hard to get a handle on our finances? It seems like sometimes we make 2 steps forward and 5 steps back, and gosh, last year threw everybody for a loop. So let's just talk about, why is this topic in general so hard?
Well, I think it is, Christy, because money is personal.
Yeah.
When you start to look at this, money comes from your career. You make money to be able to provide for your family, and you're trying to take care of yourself and set yourself up for the future. There are so many tenets that are coming on this one area.
Yeah.
And if you're prideful, and Lord knows I have been at times, and you measure your worth by how much you make, or you're making your value based on what you have or you don't have, you feel vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so if you got pride and vulnerability coming attached to this, and then you add in this year, this has been one of the most challenging years we've had ever. It's impacted the way that we enjoy family, friends, the way we go to church. Jobs have been lost, millions of them. And so people are hurting right now. And I'm glad you point on that, because what happens when you hurt, you can tend to isolate. You can tend to kind of retract and feel that it's always going to be this way. And I want people to realize that, no, that's not true, that we actually get to make decisions for ourselves and our family. And so I want people to really start to come out of their shell on this. Be more open and asking for help. Don't let pride get in the way of your progress. That's one of the things that I say. Don't you tweet it. I know you, okay? But don't let pride get in the way of your progress, and that is ask for help, but believe that you can get better.
Okay, I love how you're talking about this because your message is always so empowering. You, and one of the things that I think you and I love to do is we love to believe in people so much that they believe in themselves.
Yes.
And you're just so outstanding at that, Chris. Now, one of the things that I think that people are struggling with right now in particular is, in some capacity, they've lost hope, or maybe they've lost belief in their ability to manage their money. So, let me give. I think there's a lot of parallels with weight loss, for example. They've tried diets, they've tried diets, they've tried diets. So it's why even try? Because I've failed so many times before. They feel kind of like that about a budget. It's I've tried to manage my money, it didn't work. I've tried to pay off my debt, I didn't. So it's almost like they have lost confidence in their ability to do it. And I'm so excited because right now in January, we are in the middle of this campaign called a reset. I love that word. We're going to push the reset button. Lord knows we all need it. And we'll talk more about that later. But let's talk about, how do we get out of the rut where you feel gosh, I've never been able to manage money before.
Right.
What's going to be different about this attempt?
Well, people feel that way because either A, they didn't know about money. They weren't taught, right? That's an excuse that I hear. Now, I have to call that out because as a coach, that's my job, is to help people get better.
Speak the truth. That's
Gotta do it. So because you weren't taught young, because you've tried it and it didn't work, because you may not feel the encouragement to give it a try. You're fearful. These are all things that'll stand in the way of people even attempting it. So because you did it once and it didn't work, that doesn't mean that it won't work. It just means you didn't work it. And so now it's just a matter of realizing it's too crucial for you to stop. It's too important for the sake of those little people running around your house. And Lord knows you got a bunch of them. Okay? I got a bunch of teenagers running around. It's, if you stop, they don't get a chance to have better. If you stop, you don't get a chance to be a blessing to charities and organizations that you believe in. So it's got to come back to self. It's got to come back to going, okay, I didn't do this well maybe the first few times, but I'm hearing about it and it's so important that I need to pursue knowledge on how to get better, or maybe even get a coach to walk with me to show me this, because once you get this down, it's like riding a bike. Once you get it down, you go, oh my gosh, I gave myself a raise. Now hear this. In this time of money being a struggle, if you'll budget, and we all know getting out of debt will give you a raise, but if you budget, you're going to have more power and more control than you thought you did. But we have to sit down and understand two things. Okay. You've got to know your income, how much is coming in, and you've got to know your expenses, Christy. I mean, if you're going to begin to do a budget, and some people start twitching when I say budget.
No, it feels so legalistic. It's rules. We don't like rules. Just speak to that really quickly for the people that's like, oh gosh, stop talking about a budget. Speak to that. And
if you won't do a budget, then you're never going to feel like you have enough. And if you don't feel like you have enough, then you're not going to be content. So it's going to make you upset in your spirit and in the way you interact with money.
It's a tool that helps you get to where you want to be and do what you want to do, right?
There are thousands of scriptures in the Bible about money. Why? Lord knows we need to understand. It's a tool. Right. And so looking at this and understanding if money is a tool, then I need to know how to manage it. So budgeting is not legalistic. What I'm going to do is, and I love this John Maxwell quote, he says you either tell money where to go or you get to wonder where it went.
And that is the truth.
It is the
truth.
It really is. So now it's a matter of sitting down and understanding your income, understanding your expenses. Now, with expenses, let's break that down. You've got fixed expenses and you have variable expenses. Fixed expenses.
Amazon's a variable.
Amazon is very variable.
How many add to cart items do I have?
Yeah, but so fixed is your rent or your mortgage. Right. Even your electric bill can vary. Right. So I need to sit down and kind of get a ballpark understanding of how much does it take for me to operate my family. Right. And so sitting down and having that awareness, looking at your income, looking at your expenses, now what you're going to do is begin to put some controls in place.
We don't want to make excuses, right? Like we want to take personal responsibility. We don't want to make excuses and sit and have a pity party and wallow. That, and you and I are big on that. Like we will call out excuses and people all day.
That's right.
And in light of 2020, real people have lost real jobs. They have reasons to feel concerned. So how do you help people? And I know this is kind of a weird question, but I was just thinking about it as you were talking. How do you help people have grace for themselves and not go home where they lost their job and beat themselves up and say, I'm a failure, where like there's a real things, other variables at play, and still pick themselves back up and say, I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to start searching for jobs. I'm going to get on a budget. I'm going to get smart. I'm going to, what does that balance look like? They're not beating themselves up, but they're also not they're doing both.
So there's a fine line there.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Whenever I talk to people and they tell me that they've lost a job, the first thing I say is, I'm sorry. Yeah. I want to sit for a second and acknowledge that this was the loss of something that was helping them provide for their family.
Right. And there's an emotional aspect of it, too. There's an identity piece of it, whether we like it or not. It's like, well, I love
it's
that
too much.
thing.
And you start to think that job is you, that it defines you.
I'm a failure.
Okay, I'm a failure. And so first I want to acknowledge there's the loss of something. But to me, whenever you have a loss, you've got an opportunity for gain.
I like that.
And so what I want people to do is acknowledge the loss and the hurt of that. But what are we going to do about it?
Okay.
Right? So what can you do? And so that is you dust off your resume. I want you to reach out to friends and family. Let them know you're looking for a job. Yeah. Now, notice I said that. You and I normally are talking about careers, but I say job because it's easier to find a better job when you have a job. When you have money coming in, that stress and pressure and worry of can I pay this bill or pay that, you're going to do better. And so find something that you're bringing in money.
And it builds your confidence and your income
That's
at the same
exactly
time.
right. So you get something coming in while you continue to look. Okay. Now, the company that lets you go or whatever, that's their loss, right? I want you to look at this as a move, as an opportunity for something better eventually. So yes, that voice in the back of your head, boy, that's a powerful one. Yeah. And I really want people to be careful of what you're telling yourself. I want people to think like a scientist, Christy. Okay. Have you ever noticed when a scientist does something, they never fail.
Never.
They say the experiment failed. Right. So they themselves are never a failure. The experiment failed. So I want you to think of it, that job that you lost or left, okay, that's done. That door, that chapter is closing. Now it's time to move to something else.
Yeah. It's interesting that you put it in that light, and I love that example because when you look at it through jobs or money, it makes such sense. And I've really been talking to people all last year through Business Boutique where a lot of these businesses have been struggling or their client base is not buying or their customer habits are different. And they haven't lost a job, but they've lost business and they've had to pivot, innovate, come up with new ways. And some of them, Chris, are doing better than they've ever done before the pandemic because, like you said, it was a new opportunity. Yes, it was sad. Yes, it was scary for a minute.
That's right.
But they dusted themselves off, you know, whether it's in a business or your resume or whatever, and they looked at, okay, let's do something new. And
why
it's
do you
actually
think
better.
why do you think they got to that?
What do you mean?
Why do you think things got better? Why do you think new ideas and things
they were
grew?
forced to think of things differently.
Thinking.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
They had to think different.
Yeah.
So the thing, you know the book, Who Moved Our Cheese, you know,
Yeah,
who moved the
yeah,
cheese?
yeah.
The cheese got moved. And so we had to begin to look at this situation and go, well, what do I need to do now?
Right.
And I love that mindset.
Right.
And again, the opportunity to get people around you to guide you.
Right.
I know you are still guiding women and men all over the country,
Right.
but looking at this and going, yeah, I need to make sure I've got the right mindset.
Right.
I've got the right tools,
Right.
and I'm growing in my knowledge.
Yeah.
And then having that spirit of being willing to try. Listen, I've got kids. I got 3 boys. You got 27 kids.
27,
I don't know.
feels like it, yeah.
It does. It really does. But here's the thing that I realize. Money will obey better than our kids will.
I mean, I
Think
believe
about
that.
it.
I believe that.
Because if we put a Benjamin on this table
Yeah.
and we say stay,
Right, it's going to stay.
if
My
I
job will
don't
not.
touch it and you don't touch it, it's going to stay.
Right.
Right? Kids are different.
Right.
And so what I want people to realize is that money will listen to you. You
that's
just have
good.
to tell it
That
what to do.
is good.
Where to go, when it's allowed to leave,
Yeah.
and when it needs to arrive.
Okay, this is really interesting. So this is a silly example. It just came to mind as you were talking. I used to work at a Young Life camp where I was a horse wrangler, and we'd take kids on trail rides and
Yes.
stuff. And the kids that would get on, especially those that were scared, they always felt like the horse was in control. But what I tried to help them understand is it doesn't matter that you're smaller, it doesn't matter that you weigh less. You, with the bit and bridle, are in control of this
There it
animal.
is.
You are in control. And when you help them get that,
Yes.
it changed their whole experience of dominance over the animal. This child, a 7-year-old, would dominate this massive creature. And money, I think so often, we think of it just like you said, we
Sure
think
do.
it's in control of us.
That's an
We're
awesome
victims.
example.
It's
No.
like, no, you are, that's a great analogy.
And the bridle, which for you non-horse people, that's the thing that goes in the mouth, okay? And the bit and all that, that's how you control the horse.
Yeah.
I'm from Kentucky,
Yeah,
I have to
yeah,
tell
yeah,
you.
yeah.
But your budget is that control
Oh, that's
mechanism
good.
for your money.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna say, this is what my electric bill tends to be.
Yeah.
If it's between 50 and 75. So in your mind, you're gonna go, okay, I'm anticipating 50 to 75.
Yeah.
If your rent's $1,200 or your mortgage payment is $2,500, I'm gonna begin to sit down and write down and go, this is where money needs to go. This is what I have to take care of.
Okay, I love this horse example. This is so silly. We're just going with it. I love this horse example, though, because it's like, I would never get on a horse bareback without a bit and bridle. I would never just hold on to his mane.
Oh,
That would
I'm not
be
doing that.
dangerous,
Yeah, I'm
right?
not doing
It
that.
would be dangerous. It would be out of control. It would be reckless.
Yeah.
That's what it's like when we have this money coming in and we're not controlling it with the budget.
There
It's
you go.
dangerous. It's reckless. It's careless. And so much of our feeling out of control is simply because we're not using that control mechanism. So I love that.
Okay, I got one more.
Okay, let's have it. Let's just
Because
keep going.
horse racing, right?
Okay.
I love to watch those thoroughbreds run.
Yeah.
And if you notice, on race horses, they put on what are called blinders. Because they only want them to focus going forward. Right? They don't
Not
want
what that
them,
horse is
don't
doing.
get distracted.
Not what that
right?
horse is doing.
And here again, the budget can tend to help us have blinders on of going, I'm not worrying about what neighbor X is doing.
Nope.
I'm not worried about my family member. What I'm
Nope.
going to do is keep my eye on my goal for myself and
That's
my
right.
family.
That's right.
And so it's just an opportunity to have more control. Money impacts relationships. Money impacts a lot of our own self-feeling, how we're
Dignity,
doing.
yeah.
So when you get more in control of it, you're going to be more in control of how you feel.
Yeah.
You're going to be better prepared to deal with relationships.
Yeah.
And you're going to make progress.
And what's so interesting, and I want to call this out, is it's more about the control than it is the amount of money. You can feel in control at $30,000 a year.
Really? So you
and
just got to call me out like this? No, because this is what I got to tell myself.
Isn't this true though?
It's so true. I remember saying back before I met up with Dave or didn't have these principles, I said, when I start to make X, I'm going to get more serious. And guess what I did?
You
I
got
made
less
X
serious.
and I had more stuff and less progress.
Yeah.
And eventually it got to the point that my income had doubled.
Yeah.
And I still wasn't making more progress. I had more stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't have a plan.
Right.
And so please, 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 for the people out there, please don't believe that it's about how much you make.
Yeah.
That is a lie.
Yeah.
Because if you can't handle 20,000 well, you won't handle 30.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So I encourage people, start where you are.
I love that.
I want you to get serious and intentional right where you are. And it doesn't mean that you don't have debt and that you're not having some tough times.
Right.
It just means we got to make better decisions
Right.
and understand, what am I going to do about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're not having enough income, then I got to think of ways to bring in extra. So I want people to be proactive instead of just reacting to their situation.
Well, you've worked with football players. You've been a football player yourself. NFL players, 80% of NFL players are broke within 2 years of retirement.
Yep.
They're retiring in their 30s, 40s.
Yep.
And they made millions. So it's not the amount of money. We hear about school teachers. You wrote about this in your book, Everyday Millionaires.
That's right.
We hear about school teachers, bus drivers that are millionaires because they controlled it.
That's right. We did the largest studies ever been done on millionaires. Talked to over 10,000 of them. A third of them, didn't have a six-figure household income between the two working. Think about this.
Unbelievable.
So it's not about how much you make, it's your plan.
Yeah.
And budgeting, as you brought up, is a key tool. I'm telling you, if you get started in that, you got to decide to get someone to help you, decide to learn in your knowledge, but don't stop. And we often use the riding a bike example, right? Because once you got that down, you had it.
Right.
And budgeting's the same way. Some people, they're going to need to learn to ride more. They got to try, but just don't stop. It's that important.
What's amazing too, because our entire strategy with how we train people to manage money from Dave, the legacy of our whole company of Ramsey Solutions, really starts with quick wins. It starts with small wins. We're not going to say, take your biggest debt and tackle that first because you're going to be overwhelmed and discouraged quick before you begin. But we have a new initiative, a 90-day challenge called Reset, where we are going to help people get these quick wins.
Yes.
And I'm really excited about it because we've taken all of our apps that help people from budgeting to paying off their debt, tracking their progress on their goals, and it's called Reset, our 90-day money challenge. So talk to people about kind of what this is and how Ramsey Plus is that plan that they need to get the control we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, you and I both know what happens when people get focused, right? And when we hyper-focus on something, we tend to make progress.
Right.
That's why the baby steps are set up in the way that they are.
Right.
You do one thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time. So if with this reset, I'm excited for what's going to happen in the country. Because if you say over the next 90 days, I'm going to be more intentional than I ever have.
Right.
I'm going to be more aware than I ever have, and I'm going to be more focused. Oh, people are going to make progress because they're going to start to look at things and not let that one click buy over there jump and knock their budget off.
Right.
So I'm excited because Ramsey Plus is that information. It's that one stop. It's that one place where you need to go to get the guidance, to get the coaching, to get the accountability, but to also get the community. And that's a beautiful thing because, see, too many people out there feel like it's just them having the struggle. Yeah. Child, let me tell you, life happens to everybody. But what doesn't happen is progress. So what you have to do is decide. So people getting a part of this reset, this 90-day all-in challenge, they're going to feel more in control than they ever have been. And I'm excited because it's going to set them up to make 2021 that year of rebound.
And I love it too because we start with quick wins, but those quick wins turn into big wins, and those big wins turns into life change. And it all started because you decided to, maybe I'll try a budget again. Maybe I'll download this Ramsey Plus app. Maybe I'll join and just do this free trial. Just so you guys know, this system is a really simple plan to get you the control that you've been seeking. And you remember at Entre Leadership Summit last year when Craig Rochelle spoke. I don't know if you remember this part, but he spoke on systems.
Yes.
Now that at first glance seems super boring. Systems, that is not exciting. But the way that he explained it and unpacked it, he says we either have systems in our life by intent or by default.
That's right.
And I realized that I had systems, like a system for waking up. My system just sucked. I hit snooze 47 times. So you can have a system that sucks by default, or you can have a system by by intent. And that's what this plan is. Ramsey Plus is a system from this suite of apps to give you everything you need to take control of your money, get these quick wins, get the big wins, in 90 days hyper-focus, and truly change your life around. And you're going to know the numbers better than I do. The average family pays off $5,300 in debt and has $2,800 in savings.
$2,800 in savings.
That's amazing turnaround.
Watch this. We're going to take a whole different approach.
Okay.
What has this information done for the life of you and Matt?
Oh, well, aside from financially, we are a team because we're speaking the same language. We're playing from the same playbook. This is our playbook.
Yeah.
Right?
It's changed my life. It's allowed me to be able to set up things for my kids. Yeah. It's changed my life.
It allows you to give
it does.
When you want to give.
It impacts things. And so that's what you're hearing. We're telling you about information that we've used in our lives. And that's made an incredible impact. Yeah. I want more people feeling that.
Yeah.
And let's not dabble in it.
Yeah.
Let's not look at it and take a peek at it. I want you to get all in on this 90-day challenge and watch what happens to your relationships, but also watch what happens to how you deal with money. I think we're going to give people the encouragement to look at this thing in a total different way and to start to believe once and for all that they can do this.
I love it. Okay. Now, I know people are wondering, how can I connect with you? How can I listen to your show? How can I know what's going on? So tell them how they can connect with you, and then I want to tell them all about the challenge.
Fantastic. Go to chrishogan360.com to learn more about me, The Chris Hogan Show, as well as free articles, a lot of information there, and free tools to help you.
Okay, and then you guys don't want to miss this challenge. Listen, 90 days. You can do anything in 90 days. Text RESET to 33789. It's a completely free challenge. You can join, get a free trial of Ramsey Plus, and get on your money plan to start your year right. Chris, you're so fun. Thanks for being here. This is awesome. Thanks for coming.
Yes.